can you just give a little bit of update about the vaccine for 5 and under?
Sure. And I want to emphasize what you said. Where we are is we're not doing anything different or new. And the reason vaccines have not stopped it is because the virus keeps changing. The goal of the virus is to survive. And so the vaccines are reducing, as you said, Christine, the hospitalizations and the deaths. I might get infected if I'm at risk and I'm fully vaccinated and boosted, but I am not going to be clogging up the hospital. I'm not going to be on a ventilator. And that is some assurance. Now, in terms of vaccines for under 5, those studies are in progress, and I don't have any indication yet as to when they will be up for review. Because of the developmental age of the under 5, and the fact that we can protect them by parents being careful about who they're around, particularly in the holiday seasons. I have a good friend who is a minister, actually, and he and his family were planning, as he said, everybody had gotten their pajamas, their Christmas pajamas, and they were going to do movies and popcorn and with the cousins and stuff. And his daughter, who is, I believe, 9, tested positive for COVID. So now they put all that on hold, because if you get together, even though people may not be very sick, there may be virus. And if you bring people under 5 who can't be vaccinated, then you're putting them at risk. So while we want to get together, we want to do things, unfortunately, we're still not there. And it's not because we're not trying, it's because the virus is changing as it needs to survive. And not everybody yet is on board with doing everything we can. We still have about 25 to 30% of the population that's not vaccinated. And some of those could get vaccinated. So people are individuals, and even more so, even those of us who are, when I go out, I see people all over the place without masks, enjoying restaurants. So we have to use what we know if we want to get out of this. I'll just leave it there. Do I see an end to the COVID-19 pandemic? So yes, all pandemics in history that we have had have eventually come to an end. Some take a few years, some take lots of years, some come and they come back, right? So if you think about the years of the plague or other pandemics that we've had, and we're in modern medicine time. So I believe the COVID-19 pandemic will ultimately subside to an endemic state. We're at 18% in Michigan or more now. We want it down below 3%. When that happens, we can sort of go about our business, we can gather with people, and if somebody is positive or test positive, we can do contact tracing to manage that in a way that all the people who are around that person now get tested. If they're positive, they isolate. That means there's very little circulating virus in the community. That's when it becomes endemic. So measles is endemic in the world because it's not gone. It's just that in most places, the vaccine controls it. But if somebody's not vaccinated and they get exposed to somebody that has it, measles pops back up as an epidemic, right? Influenza is endemic in the USA at the moment because we always have flu circulating. We just try to manage it. And so I believe we will ultimately get to COVID as an endemic virus that is with us. It is also now found in white-tailed deer in the US and other places. So we're not going to get rid of it because it has an animal reservoir, a place to go. But we can keep it low enough that it will not be managing our lives, that we will be managing it. And I believe that will happen.
Does fully vaccinated actually mean boosted too?
Yes, that's a great question. Fully vaccinated means that you've gotten the recommended doses initially. So for Moderna and Pfizer, it was 2 doses, right? For J&J, it was 1. So in the mRNA viruses, fully vaccinated means those 2 initial doses. 21 and 28 days apart. And for J&J, the science really says that probably should have been a 2-dose vaccine from the beginning to get it up to the 90%, because it was over 70 with one, but we're seeing that the second dose 2 months later gets it up into the 90s. And when you get the third dose of either the mRNAs or the second dose of J&J, it actually also seems to stimulate the long-lasting or more durable immunity, which is, again, consistent with what we know with vaccinations and with other viruses and microbes.
Great. And just when you're saying mRNA, just for folks that are listening, that means that's the type of vaccine Pfizer and Moderna are. So it's a type of vaccine that has been in existence for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right?
So the mRNA vaccines were what were approved last year this time, using technology that had been used and developed over 10, 12, 20 years for other purposes, for delivering cancer drugs or for other things, now switched to use also with the spike messenger RNA that helps protect us against virus. So we're not putting in virus. We're not putting in the coronavirus. We're just, remember, I've given you this analogy. If my hand is the virus and this is the part that allows it to attach, when we do the vaccine, we're only putting in something that will make the thumb, and that protects against the whole virus. So that's what I mean when I say messenger RNA vaccines. And if I don't know how we're doing on time, but if I just might add, the video, the wonderful video, and I really appreciate the way that it was done and its accuracy and thoroughness. Omicron variant is, again, a result of allowing the virus to get in our body. Viruses are microbes like any other life form. They have to recreate themselves in order to continue, because if they don't, they become extinct. And that's not, everything that lives wants to continue to live. So the variations are the survival of the fittest. They're little changes that occur every time the virus reproduces. If those changes are not good for the virus, then that doesn't survive. But if those changes give the virus a little bit of advantage in making more of itself, then that particular genetic composition will rise to the top. And that's what we see with all of these variants. So we started out with Alpha being more fit than the Wuhan strain, the original strain. Then we had Delta, which, even though there were lots in between, Delta was the one, or is the one, that outcompeted everything else. And it's 99% of the virus in the US today. And now with Omicron, so there's a long way between Delta and Omicron. There are lots of others of interest, but Omicron is one that seems to have changed itself just enough to be able to go faster from person to person, or better from person to person. And so even just yesterday, some information came out that Omicron's spreads 3 times faster than Delta. But the good news, it seems that it doesn't make us sicker so far. That's what it looks like, that it's able to attach to and reproduce in the trachea cells, the windpipe cells, but it doesn't seem to reproduce so well in the lung cells. And this is all in tissue culture. This is all, in a petri dish. So we don't know if that's how it works in the real person. But if that's true, it means we may see more mild COVID from Omicron, but for vaccinated people, we won't see the serious hospitalized pneumonias and things that could take people out. So that data is very preliminary, but it explains why Omicron is spreading really fast around the world, because it's better to spread, because that's what the virus needs to do, to make more of itself.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org, or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.